What I'm going to talk about today is very quick: who's who in the team, in the management, what the communications paths are, and this is probably the most important part of this entire evening. Will be the communication paths. We'll talk a bit about the finances, the practice kits, track suits, something that you may be looking for right now, and then a little discussion of practice nights. Forget the optional fitness training. We don't do that this year. I just didn't have time to delete it. Some information about the game day, and then I'll take any questions. So let's move on to the first item. Who's who in the team? So go to the newest slide. Who's who? This is Coach Yuri and Coach Vlad are our paid coaches. Coach Vlad is obviously the head coach. And one thing about Coach Vlad that many of you may not know is he's UEFA Pro certified. So he could be coaching at Premier League level. He's got the highest certification you can get. And we're really lucky. There's not a lot of UEFA Pro certified coaches in Toronto. And we're really lucky to have him overseeing the program. And he oversees the entire program. So he's the boss of the the 2011 boys, the U15s now. Sorry, it says U14 there. And he's the primary coach. So when you go to the games, he's typically the coach for the Red Falcons. Yuri, you notice the same last name. Yuri is Vlad's son. Yuri is an assistant coach. He's also certified as a coach. And he's played all over the world. He even played semi-pro in Uruguay. Very talented striker and very good with the kids. They love him, usually. And so he's responsible mainly for the black and gray Falcons. And I say that black and gray because he is responsible for the black and gray practices, but on game days often one of the parent coaches step in. So speaking of that, we have two parent coaches. Parent coaches are volunteer positions. Both our parent coaches are Ontario Soccer certified. They've taken their coaching certifications. We have Sean, whose son plays on the Red Falcons, and Sean helps out with the Red Falcons. And then we have Tom Barber, who his son Luke plays with the Grey Falcons, I guess, and Tom acts as the game day manager at games for the Grey Falcons as well when Yuri can't be there or Vlad. And the same with Sean. If neither Yuri or Vlad are available, Sean will step in to be the game day coach. These guys are not compensated. They are volunteers, unlike the other two coaches. But from the other part of the team, so we have quite a big team supporting the Falcons. We have quite a big team of volunteers. We're quite lucky, I think, that we have so many parents stepping up. So the official team managers, if you ask the club, are me and Derek. Derek, who you see. And we divide up the duties that go along with the team. Every year it switches just a little bit, but equitably, this year Derek's taking care of most of those team communications, all of the Snapchat stuff, all of the uniforms, the socials. If we plan a social, that'll be him dealing with that. I handle most of the paperwork, like the financials, the rosters, purchasing the equipment, paying for the camera, and uploading and downloading the videos. I also do all the sponsorships, so we do get sponsors to help offset some of the costs, and we'll talk a bit about that later. And then once a year, we open up a teamwear store where you can buy Falcons branded merchandise, but it takes a lot of work, so when I get a chance, we open it. And then we have other volunteer parents, so there's a lot that goes on. On game day, we have Tom, Sandy, and Kathy, and their job is to print out the rosters, show up with the game bag, the first aid kit, the money for the referees. They deal with all of the stuff that's happening in the game, and then they do the game reports in the system after. They are also, we have Sue, John and Amy and Jeff. There's a lot of equipment you see. That equipment has to be taken out and has to be put back, has to be carried to games. And so those four work on the equipment. And then we have our Veo camera. I think you've seen it, the green camera. We've got two of them. One is from the club, one we own. And so managing that is Andrew. His son plays on the Red Falcons. And then Kevin, whose son Nico plays on the Black Falcons. And Sue and Jeff share the responsibilities on the Grey. And they do all the carrying of the camera, setting it up, and recording. All of this stuff used to be done by Derek and I. And let me tell you, it's a lot of work. So we appreciate them stepping forward. If any of you want to volunteer to help, we have a spot for you as well. So just keep that in mind. So this is the most important part, I think, of tonight. And we're going to talk about who to contact, when, and what for. I should put that on here. But so there's a lot of people involved, as you can see. You know, it makes it tough to understand who you should really talk to about specific things. So it's a pretty easy rule of thumb, and it's just simply this. If your question's about a logistical item, it's about uniforms. Is it about where's this practice held? Or, are we getting backpacks? How do I pay my fee? All these kinds of things. How does Team Snap work? That's me and Derek. But if it's player related, so how's my player's skill? And Vlad gave me a bunch to add here. What's his performance? How's he developing? Why is he playing this position and not that position? Why isn't he getting playing time? How can he get more playing time? He's not getting along with another player, or he's not, or I'm not getting along with another parent. Maybe you're not getting along with another parent. Or for sicknesses and injuries, latenesses, attendance issues, anything like that. If it's about your kid, about your player, you talk to Vlad. You don't talk to the managers. We have no insight into the plan for your son's development. We are not professional coaches. We are not soccer scouts. We can't tell you how well he's doing. So anything like that, you ask Vlad. Now, anything that's not on that list, then the rule of thumb is simple. Just start with Coach Vlad. Don't go directly to the club. Almost everything can be solved if you talk to the coach. But if you go to the club, you're going to wait couple weeks to hear from them, and then they're going to talk to Vlad, who's going to talk to them, and it just becomes much more difficult than it ever has to. So don't start there. Start with the coach. Even if it's talking to the coach about the coach, talk to the coach. Start there, and then work your way up if you don't have satisfactory solution. I'm sure Vlad would help you at that point. How do you connect with us? It's very easy. If you're going to contact me or Derek, we prefer email. So please just email. I'm not a texter. I miss texts all the time. I don't like them. I don't like the chat on Team Snap. But I almost always respond to my emails. And then for Coach Vlad, he always prefers you text him or call him. One thing I will say about Coach Vlad is, even though in our parent guide we suggest waiting 24 hours if you're having a problem, Vlad says, if you want to call him at any time, go ahead. So that 24-hour rule, although it's a good rule of thumb, in most cases, he's not worried about it. You can go ahead and call him. And if you're going to call him and you've never called him before, a really good thing to do is text him first and say, "Hi, this is Nadine, Joachim's mom. I'm going to be giving you a call." Because if he recognizes your number, then he'll answer. I mean, how many of you answer your phone when it rings? If you don't recognize the number. So that's the way to communicate. And then just one final big reminder. I think this is really important that you understand this. Even though I'm a parent, Derek's a parent, Sean's a parent, Tom's a parent, we are part of the management team. And so we have this responsibility to support the overall success of the team and support the coach. So anything you share with us that's relevant to the team, even if you tell me you're going to try out for another club, I'm obligated to tell the coach that that's happening. And because I become friends with many parents, oftentimes it's tough because they'll take me into their confidence and say something. But if they say something that concerns the club, the team, I need to say something, and it puts me in an awkward situation. So just know that anything you say to us may and probably will be directed to the coach. Having said that, we are not a back channel to the coach. It's still much better to say your stuff directly to him because we can't guarantee it, and he'd rather. So just keep it in mind that we are going to share things. And so if you don't want them shared, don't say them. I don't know how else to put it. Any questions so far on the communication?
Yeah, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
With regards to communications, you mentioned to absences. If last minute or the day of, kid can't make practice, he's sick or whatever, are we to notify Vlad about missing at practice? Because we can't update on Team Snap last minute.
Yeah.
Or do we just
So
let that know?
you could just send a text to him, or if not him, to Yuri or whoever the coach is. One thing I will say is if you put it in the team chat, team
Yeah.
Snapchat, he's probably not going to see it.
Okay.
I keep seeing people put it in there and people who know better.
Yeah.
And the reality is, yeah. Now, if he had said to you, I need Levi to be here tonight because we're going to be working on this, and Levi got sick, I would suggest you make a extra effort to text him that he's not coming. But Derek, do you have anything other to suggest there?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think for the most part, they don't need to know, like, it's not critical that they know if a player can't make practice, unless it's the day before a game, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Then the coach will want to know that your player is ill or injured, because that could affect the roster for the next game. And they don't, if you know a day or two ahead, the coach much prefers to know that at like before rather than the day of, because if the player doesn't show up on practice on Friday and then you message and say, oh, they're sick on Saturday, that leaves the team scrambling to find a replacement for the game. So I would just say, if someone's, yeah, if they're sick and it, for that, in that kind of context. But if it's like the Monday or Tuesday practice, it's not as important, I think, to say that they're away for that reason. And to Louis' point, they're not looking at the team snap. They're not looking at the chat to record that. Um, and then the only other thing I would say on top, like as a, I guess, like as a dovetail to that, is that if you think your player is on the game roster, I don't know if you go into this, Louis,
Yeah, I will
later
later.
in the
That's
game
fine.
day.
But
I'll just,
yeah,
well, we'll get into that. There are some instructions around that as well.
yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. And for I think I seen Fabrice come on. Hi, Fabrice. Raphael's dead. If you stay after, I can go back over the communications part. I don't know when you came in, so just important piece to know. Okay, so let's talk about communications from a Team Snap aspect. Team Snap is our primary communication tool. You will find that we email a lot, especially Derek and I, and most of our emails, by the way, will come from Skylar or Alexander, right? So when you send it, picks your player name up. So if you email me back, it's Louis, not Skylar. He's not typing anything, but it's how we track everything, and there's some idiosyncrasies around the team that we like to make sure you understand. So the first thing is to talk about availability, and so when you're looking at Team Snap availability, and I'll use my son as an example. We're a Red Falcon. He plays for Red Falcons, and because of the way the leagues work, he's not allowed to play elsewhere. But still, you'll notice that I usually put available beside every game, gray, black. We treat the availability tab or not as are you coming, it's are you able to come. And we ask people to do this as far in advance as possible. And so the reason you mark everything is because rosters change during the year. And say, like 6v6, we can put anybody in. So they want to see who's available and who's not available when they're looking at putting the rosters together. And because of that, we close the roster about 5 days before the game. So if you've said you're not available and then you can be available, you won't be able to change it. And we do the same about 12 hours before practice, Derek. I think this changes. It was 24 before. I don't know if this 12 is still accurate. But so if you have to change your availability, let's say you said you weren't available because you thought you had an event and you're, maybe family thing, and then that got canceled and you were now available, you need to text Vlad and let him know you're available. Your son's available. If you want them to be included on the roster. Most of the important information is going to get sent through the email. The team chat, though, and I mentioned this earlier about not putting your your absences for practices. The team chat, you have to consider it a parent chat. It's really there to, oh, can I get a ride? Or did anyone see a pair of shoes? Or this or that? Or great win, guys, whatever you want. But it's not a communications tool for the management team. Especially during practices, because they're just not looking at their phone. I'm not looking at my phone. Derek's not looking at his phone. It's really just a parent chat. And it can get quite busy. There could be a lot of stuff flowing through that chat. So one of the things we ask parents is to keep it positive. Because the last thing we need is people tuning out from messaging because it's become you've seen it. There's not a lot of negativity. There's not any negativity in, but occasionally something might happen. Someone gets upset, and then there starts a debate about the color of the uniforms or something like that. We just ask you to keep it positive so that people will actually want to look at it. Any questions on TeamSnap? There's I could go into so much depth. There's a web version and the app. The app doesn't have the chat. The app has the chat. The web version doesn't. And there's different ways to mark, but I didn't want to go into that depth today. But if you have any questions on it, let me know now. I can whip it up and show you. No? We're all good? Good. I'm going to move on. Okay, finances. So I just wanted most of you, again, usually we do this earlier in the year, but since it's late, this slide's almost it doesn't make much sense anymore, but there are two sets of fees you pay every year. One is to the club. That's to be in the OSA, to be part of a club. That's to pay for field time, practice time, referee fees, and the league entry fees. That's what's covered in there. And then there's also a second fee, which is the team fees. Team fees cover coaches' fees, all of the equipment, anything that we need. Our VO. I don't know if you noticed, we have dummies. We're the only team that seems to have those yellow dummies, and we have our own balls, and we have bags, and we have a lot of stuff. We have to provide all that. The club gives us zero. There's not a single cone that's provided by the club. We purchase, own, and maintain all of our own equipment. So when we're looking at these fees, that's all covered. And first aid supplies, each ice pack is $1. So you think about how many we use in a game, sometimes 8. So all of those fees are covered by that team fee that we send you. And the biggest difference is you pay one to the club and you pay one to the team. Backpacks and tracksuits are paid to the team. We order them because we didn't want the club marking them up, so we order them ourselves. But the practice uniforms and game uniforms get paid to the club. And then if there are any extra programs, which we're not doing this year, but if there were, you would pay them to the team or to the coach directly. Any questions on any of this? I do want to say that the coaches' fees are determined by the club. They tell us what to charge. And they give a range, and we use the lowest fees. And only reason I bring this up is because I watched the way that Vlad and Yuri overlap the practices, so that our kids are getting an hour and a half, where everyone else are getting an hour, and yet they don't get more or ask for more from the coaching fees. So I just thought, from a value perspective, I think we do really well with what we get. Sorry, I was going to mention here, we do fundraising. So our fees would be a lot higher, but we raise money. So if any of you guys know anyone who wants to sponsor the team or want to help me get sponsorship, let me know, and I will happily get you involved in that. All right. Practice and game kits. Derek handles most of this. Again, it's kind of redundant at this point for pretty much everybody on this call except maybe Julie, because Eamon hasn't got his yet. I think everyone else has their uniforms, but practice kits can be picked up at Cherry Beach. You just pay online and bring your receipt to one of the staff. Uniforms get ordered from the clubs. We know this already. Derek does all the management of that. We can't get specific numbers. There's nothing really to tell you here. It's all done. Derek's always harassing the staff to get uniforms, but it still takes him a while. And just on the kits, the one thing that is important, I think, is the news direction we got from the club in the last week and a bit, is we're not going to use those sleeves anymore. There were leg sleeves in some of the kits. The boys didn't like them. Many of the boys didn't like them. Many of the boys and many of the girls, many of the teams across the club didn't like them. So from now on, they are providing white and black socks with their kits when you buy them instead of those sleeves. And we need to have black socks with the red kits and white socks with the gray kits. And we're going to talk about the kits on game day. All right, tracksuits and backpacks. So we've just recently changed to red backpacks because the nice black and red ones were no longer available. It really sucks. But I had just done a backpack order, and now we've got like 10, I don't know if there's 10, but at least 6, 7 new players that have come since I did that back order. Backpacks are pretty easy for me to order, so once I get a few minutes to breathe, I will set up another order form and send it out to the new players. Backpacks officially and tracksuits are officially optional, but in reality, we want the team to look like a team, so they should have them. But I will put that out. And then tracksuits, I usually get around to getting ordered in January. It's actually a lot of work to figure out where to find all the sizes. Sometimes I have to order from 3 different suppliers. So it's a little bit of work. So if you were hoping to buy them for Christmas, I would say that it's probably not going to happen. I don't think I can get this pulled together before then. I have to put an order form together, and then I have to find the pricing and find... The kids are at such a weird size now that it's really hard to figure out which sizes they are. So, but I will get that early in the year, and if I can get that done before Christmas, I will. But I don't want to make that commitment. Any questions on backpacks or tracksuits? Pretty basic stuff. Okay. Practice nights. So I mentioned this already, but overlapping practices gives us more time and better value. We do run 3 practice sessions a night. And those sessions are dependent on skill level. And the reason I use the word skill level is because sometimes people get caught up in the team names, right? The gray, black, and red. Those are teams we enter into leagues, and we have to register and roster a team. But at the end of the day, really, your player will be practicing where they're supposed to practice. Vlad will move them into the right section. So when you're looking at the practices on Team Snap, especially for the winter, try not to be too early. Arrive when it says to arrive, just because it gets so busy in the domes with those curtains. You can't really stand on the track, and it's just hard to get people warmed up. So try not to be too early. Always wear a practice kit, and always wear proper safety equipment and footwear. There's nothing worse than getting slide tackled or kicked during a practice and then not being able to play the game because you thought, well, not you, but the kids thought they were Superman and didn't need their practice gear. So always make sure they're wearing proper safety equipment and footwear, and a practice kit preferably. If you don't have a practice kit yet for your son, then let Derek know, but really all you have to do is go online, pay for it, and pick it up. There are some times when your son will be asked to stay for an extra practice or maybe come in a little earlier. It all depends on what they're working on. And so usually it's asked to stay. It's not usually asked to come in earlier. But just be prepared that that's a great opportunity. I mean, it gets us so much more. We're already getting an hour and a half versus an hour that other teams get. So if he can get another hour out of that, then it's just a great opportunity. And it's a great opportunity to practice different skills at a different level. So just watch for that to happen potentially during the year. And as the season goes on, the coach may modify their start time. And again, it will come down to 2 scenarios. One is he just thinks that they progress and he wants them to be practicing with the next level. Or it could be that he's swapping the practices because of game schedules the next day. That also does happen. Anything else on practice nights that I need to mention, Derek?
No, you've done that. You've covered it.
Yeah, okay. So game day information. Game days, confusing days. So rosters are set via email in Team Snap, usually by one of the team managers or like the game day managers or by Vlad himself. Sometimes you will get an email with all the rosters on it, And sometimes it will be just an email with one roster sent to you because your son is on the roster. It really depends on who's sending them out. I tend to send them all together because I don't want to miss anybody. And in the past, I've not clicked somebody's name and they haven't shown up at a game, and I don't want that to happen. But other people like to do it individually. So in any case, when you see a roster come as an attachment to the email, take a look at it and see if your son is on it. Now, if your son is on it and you can't make it, you got to let the coach know right away. We have a lot of kids, and we try to make sure that everyone gets good opportunities. And if you're not going to make it, it could be that someone else could take that spot. We do try to call up a lot. I don't know if anyone here has been to a Red Falcons game, but usually we have 5 or 6 call-ups in every single game. So we try to call up a lot, and we want to make sure that we have spots for people if you can't make it. So that's very important. And the way you do that is you text Coach Vlad, and you do it right away and let him know. Don't tell Derek, don't tell me, don't put it in the chat. It goes directly to Coach Vlad. Now, assuming you're going to show up, you need to show up at the game 45 minutes before the start unless otherwise told. So sometimes Vlad will tell the kids to show up an hour early. Typically, it's 45 minutes before the start so that they can have their strategy session if they're going to have one, which they typically have, and their warm-up. Also, always bring both uniforms. I don't know, this seems like a simple concept, but when I talk to the kids, they never seem to have both uniforms. The reality is, when the 2 uniforms are too close in color, the home team is going to have to change. And unfortunately, in the PISL, we don't play in home fields. So sometimes we're home, sometimes we're away. And we could play in Mississauga and be the home team. So you can't really go by location, whereas the summer you can go by location. So always bring both uniforms because you never know who's going to have to change. And we have in the past even changed when we're visitors to help the opposing team who didn't have their uniform. So bring them, always. It's in capitals. All right. And, of course, they need to wear their proper protective equipment and no steel cleats. I mean, that's a given. The last thing here, if you haven't done it yet, we need your emergency forms. We print that out, and every game bag has a binder with the emergency forms in. And even at our practice kits, we keep a binder in each. So if that one of the kids has a medical emergency, Vlad can just quickly grab, see if there's anything we have to know. You know, does he need an EpiPen? Does he need an inhaler? Whatever. And so it's important that if you haven't done so, and I'm not saying anyone on here has not done it, I don't know who's done it, but if you have not done it, please do it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, send Derek an email, and he will send you the form. Any questions on that?